nationally syndicated radio show is heard in more than 120 cities around the United States every weekday afternoon. Professor Hewitt's a graduate of Harvard College and the University of Michigan Law School, and he's been teaching constitutional law at Chapman University Law School since it opened in 1995. Professor Hewitt is a frequent guest on CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, and he's written for the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Los Angeles Times. He's received 3 Emmys for his work as co-host of the groundbreaking Life and Times program, a nightly news and public affairs program that aired on the Los Angeles PBS affiliate KCET from 1992 until 2007. He also conceived and hosted the 1996 PBS series, Searching for God in America. He's the author of 8 books, including 2 New York Times bestsellers. His most recent books are blog, Understand the Information Reformation That is Changing Your World, and A Mormon in the White House. Professor Hewitt's best known as the host of his radio show. He writes for his daily blog, HughHewitt.com, which is among the most visited political blogs in the United States. He's also the executive editor of townhall.com. Hugh Hewitt's passions are the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Indians, Ohio State. Do they have a football team? I think they do. And Notre Dame college football and running. And dare I say one other thing, he loves the great state of Colorado. Please welcome Hugh Hewitt.
Thank you, Jeff. It was fun when I was campaigning with Jeff a few years ago. I hope I have that opportunity in the future. But normally I'm in Colorado for one event or another, but not normally for an audience in which I assume everyone of every party is represented, different age and demographics. But I want to test one thing. How many of you are teachers? Would you stand up if you were a teacher? So many who are professionals would come to an event talking about school choice awareness. It is a passion of mine. There are very few things that I'm involved with outside of politics and the law, and school choice is one of them for a number of reasons. It has to do, going back to my beginning in journalism, Jeff mentioned that for more than a decade I was a co-host of a PBS show every Monday through Friday night, doing what would eventually become sort of the precursor of the cable news networks before there were cable news networks. And so we would cover local politics deeply. And of course, local is usually boring, but what is never boring are schools. Schools are always interesting. Parents always want to know, or should always want to know, what's going on in a school. Perhaps the worst school district in the world, free world, is the Los Angeles Unified School District. It is one, if not the largest. It is the most expensive. It is the least effective. It is mired in absolute dysfunction. But within it and surrounding, LAUSD surrounds the Compton School District. And in 1992, I did a series of stories and reports on the Compton School District, which was a wholly owned school district that was so shocking that the state actually took over. It wasn't as a result of my reporting, we all reported on it, that took over the school district. It had utterly and completely failed. The bathrooms were not usable. The textbooks were not available. The teachers were afraid to come in because it was in the heart of gangland. There were leaks in the roof. It was a physically dangerous, emotionally destructive environment. And nothing could be done. Nothing could be done because it was under the rule of the Los Angeles Unified School District's Teachers Union and its affiliate in Compton. It was impossible to reform Compton schools, even after the state took it over. The sad truth is that that series could be done again today with the same storyline, slightly different bad books, slightly different bad facilities, the same horrific test scores. It has been a prison without the name for 20 years, and it hasn't changed. And so much of American public education is that way, and the prisoners are children, and their parents have no choice. And from 1992 forward, I have looked for, I have celebrated, I have tried to pay attention to and do stories about school choice. Because the only way to free the prisoners of the Compton Unified School District and the Los Angeles Unified School District is to provide their parents a choice. Now, I am myself, Jeff didn't mention it, a product of the original school choice program. It's called parochial education, and I did it for 12 years. It was the original choice. And for those of you who have ever seen Late Night Catechism, it's a wonderful play. It's a one-woman show. Mary Ann Paquette debuted it in Chicago years ago. She travels it around the country now. Uproarious if you did Catholic school from 1963 to 1974 as I did. It's just an absolute walk down memory lane. But one of the lines the nuns used to use was, "Do you know how much your parents are sacrificing to have you here?" And like it was a daily recording. And it was actually a sacrifice for parents to send kids to parochial school. It cost maybe $300 a year for my high school education. Maybe $150 a year for my elementary school education, which made it an affordable choice. Parents had to put something into it. That was real money in the 60s, but nevertheless there was an opportunity. And by the way, the parochial school system made the public schools of Warren, Ohio better because they had to, and they did cooperate, they competed, and they made everything better. And that education system turned out an extraordinary number of very happy and successful and functioning Americans because it helped each other. Where competition goes away, it dies off. We have to reintroduce that. Ever since 1992, I've made it a point to try and bring any author on who writes well and at length about the school choice movement. I've tried to bring attention to any journalist who'd like Jill Stewart in Los Angeles, although Jill is a left-winger and I'm a right-winger. Jill writes about the dance of the lemons. You may have seen her in the movie Waiting for Superman. The Dance of the Lemons illustrated about how LAUSD keeps dysfunctional and failing principals employed by moving them on. But the most important book, I'd like to give practical advice. The one thing I'd like you to do, I said this last year if you weren't here, is to go and buy the book Work Hard, Be Nice by Jay Mathews. Jay Mathews is the education correspondent for the Washington Post. He threw himself into the education story 15 years ago. He is their regular education columnist. He is a passionate exponent of school choice. Work Hard, Be Nice is the story of KIPP, Knowledge is Power program. It is not the only successful charter school movement or charter school program. There are many in the United States. I'll mention one more. But KIPP broke all the rules because it proved that children of the underclass, with one parent or two, working and unable to spend any time with their kids in bilingual situations, could nevertheless see their children educated and prospering if they were offered innovative charter school programs within the school district of Houston. And it has blossomed. It is one set of choices. Second set of choice that I would advise you to go and see is Great Hearts, Arizona. I serve on the board of Great Hearts, Arizona. It is a public school choice system. GreatHeartsAZ.com. Classical education, not sectarian,